Welcome back to the Neo4j AI Community Cast. I am here with Shir from, it's Shir, right?
Yeah,
Shir from Deepchecks. I was lucky enough to actually co-present with her at a meetup last night. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, happy to see you again.
Yeah, it's great to see you. So tell us a little bit about what is Deepchecks?
Sure. So in Deepchecks, we try to solve the problem of making AI work as it's intended to.
Okay.
And we're looking at it in the context of evaluating AI-based applications.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously a big part of our focus is for LLM-based applications, right?
Yeah.
When they're asked questions and they give very creative and nice answers, and sometimes they're correct, but sometimes not really.
Okay.
So we help basically businesses that are building these applications find and pinpoint these problems efficiently, try to see between like when they try to solve them, did they solve them? Did new problems pop up and so forth?
So what inspired this? Where did it come from? Because I know you're the CTO, so you've got all the technical brains behind what you are working on. Was there a particular moment that you said, we have to do this, or how did it come about for you?
I think there were many moments along the way. So like personally, I started in tech, I can say maybe like 10 years ago. And worked quite a long time as a data scientist, leading data science research.
Yeah.
And then basically I saw two things. One is that the potential is immense, and like these things, I mean, it was still like classical machine learning, whether it's tabular data or or unstructured data. And I saw the potential, but then I also saw that when we try to deploy these applications to production, all different types of problems pop up. Reality is a bit different. And I and actually Philip, my co-founder as well, we were good friends at the time, working and leading research at different places. Yeah. And talking about like, how do we make these things work better, and searching for a tool that will help us basically take the load off this part of validating, finding problems, and monitoring in production and so forth. Yeah. There wasn't any tool at the time.
So you made one.
So I said, okay, this is something that I feel that, AI is really helping give tons of value to the world, but we want it to basically be, stabler, safer, and and be able to be trusted.
I think it's also really interesting the way you folks go about validating, is it right or is it good? Can you talk a little bit about some of the metrics that you have within the product as far as, and I'll let you talk about it because there's some really juicy metrics that you folks use. And so I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about those.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the challenge, I'll say just a big challenge there is how do you build something that is like generalizable and works for, different use cases, whether it's for the same company or for different companies. Yep. And on one hand, it finds a problem, but on the other hand, it's also very easily customizable because, different use cases have different problems. Like maybe for a specific, if I'm now building a documentation Q&A chatbot, I don't want it to recommend features of my competitor, right?
Right.
So this is like one example, and it's maybe not relevant if I'm building a Wikipedia style chatbot.
Right.
So that is like, that's a big kind of focus of ours when like in our approach of how we build this.
Yeah.
And it is also relevant to the fact that indeed we have lots of different, like we call them properties, and each property is a metric trying to whether just give some overall kind of indication of what is the length of the output, okay? Right. Because sometimes you can find that you have lower performance for very long outputs, for example. So these are also like simple metrics. Yeah. And many of them are also more kind of metrics that are really built in order to find some specific problem. For example, to find hallucinations, we call it grounded in context. And this is trying to see if the output, to what extent is it actually based on the information it was given.
The actual source, the context documents.
Exactly. Yeah. Or a nice one that is just, it's like a funny one, but it's useful, is to find places where the like, let's say it's a chatbot, and when it's avoiding to answer for whichever reason.
Interesting. So you find, I imagine, that depending on who the customer is, they look at those different metrics different ways, and sometimes having a high point on one is good for one customer but not for another.
Right, usually. So indeed, like our Deepchecks approach is that out of the box, when you, and we also have an open source package, and we kind of iterated on that approach. Yeah, it's mainly for testing models during research for tabular models and so forth. So what we saw is that people like to get immediate value and understand what can this give me. And then, of course, some customization is needed in order to kind of fine-tune it, not in the fine-tuning manner, to your scenario. Yeah, so the idea is that we do have kind of a default setup. Okay, typically we know that low grounded in context is bad, unless, you're maybe making up a story in which it's fine and it's not a relevant metric. So we have like a typical setup for each type of use case, summarization, Q&A, and then it can be, adjusted. You can add new metrics, custom metrics.
Interesting. Oh my God, I love it. I'm a huge fan of Deepchecks, so I'm excited about that. Tell me a little bit about, so tell me where you're based.
So our R&D and headquarters are in Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
And as like most Israel-based companies, so we work a lot with like US customers and globally.
So what is the tech scene like in Tel Aviv right now?
It's I think it is a privilege to be part of the tech ecosystem there, because it's just not like in San Francisco. You have to, not that far, but you still have to travel. In Tel Aviv, basically in a squared mile, you have talent of any sort you want and people to consult with, and whether it's an AI or cyber, so it's a vibrant tech community for sure. Great.
And then I don't know if folks like this. What's it like to be a female CTO in this business?
It's a good question. I think for me personally, it's I guess for a lot of like my past career being in tech, I just felt kind of, maybe it's even natural to like, okay, I'm just used to not having that many females around. And it took me a while to understand, maybe I feel that that's the way, but I should make sure that, other females that look at that as a consideration. I look at it as the opposite. Like the fact that there aren't many females there should, it basically increases my motivation to be there, to be out there, to be active, to encourage others.
I love it.
I think today also, like, I do believe that the awareness and, having more people out the front, it is, I do feel like, at least in Israel, that there are in AI, I think more women than used to be, let's say, years ago, or then in cyber and so forth. So I think we're gradually
making
progress. Oh there's still a way to go.
It's interesting for me too, because especially coming from the data science side, I feel like it was a little bit more balanced. Coming in data science, I found that there were a lot more women in data science, so it doesn't surprise me that as we're moving in, as AI is becoming much more prevalent in the public, that there's more women in positions like yours. Question for you, anything you're really looking forward to in tech, either for yourself or for the company, or just like research in general, something that you're really excited to see where that goes?
I think we live in a super exciting time, and like many times you can look a few years forward and say, okay, I know how things are going to act. Like if you'd asked me 5 or 10 years ago, I was sure that the next big kind of life-changing tech was autonomous driving.
Yep.
And I am actually, by the way, still very much looking for it. I hate traffic. I love, being able to, feel like independent and commute easily, but without driving.
Yeah.
So, on a personal level, I am still really looking for that transformation. And on the AI side, I think, I'm just basically excited to see, all the speculations that we have and how things will roll out. And I also do hope that we, as the humanity, manage to take AI and, making it efficient and good, but balancing it, because it is such a strong tech. So
it's going very quickly. So you're in San Francisco. They do have self-driving taxis in downtown. Are you going to hit that while you're here?
For sure, for the experience, for sure. What I really care about is like basically the changing the way people kind of live their lives. For example, demographics, that people not needing to live in the center of cities and so forth. So that's the thing. It's less like seeing it happen, which is cool, but I really am looking for the world transition that will be after it. But for sure, I should grab one.
I know, we almost did it yesterday. It's still on my bucket list while I'm here, so hopefully we'll get it done. Thank you so much for coming by. I really appreciate you making time for us today, and I look forward to seeing everything that's going on and where Deepchecks goes. So definitely check out Deepchecks if you really want to know what's happening with your LLMs and your applications. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was great to see you.
You too. Bye.
Bye.